Hi Founders fans, Jason here. You'll notice I am back downstairs by my library. I shoot my videos based on where my family is in the house, and I have one son who's just falling asleep upstairs. I didn't want to wake him up speaking too loudly in the office. I have another infant sleeping right over there, who I hope doesn't wake up. So today we're just going to tell a quick story about a fairly obscure founder I just researched and wrote about. Donald Campbell. Donald Campbell, who was quartermaster general in the Northern Army under Philip Schuyler, and served more directly under Brigadier General Richard Montgomery early in the war. What's very interesting about Campbell is actually his father had come over from Scotland and brought 38 families over at his own expense because the royal governor at the time of New York, where he was from, said that he would give him 100,000 acres of land, and then didn't give him the land. So although Donald did serve for Great Britain in the French and Indian War, he always harbored that little bit of resentment. So when a revolution against Great Britain came along, Donald was quick to sign up. And as a note to that, he eventually would get 10,000 acres of land on his father's behalf from the United States, but not the full amount, and not from the country that promised it. But Donald signs up as a quartermaster general. He's a colonel, and he accompanies the army to the Battle of Quebec. And you may be familiar that they get to Quebec. Schuyler had to turn around, didn't actually join his army due to illness, probably gout that he suffered from his whole life. And then when they get to Quebec, the U.S. invaded Canada. It went pretty far, got through Montreal all the way to Quebec, and then as soon as they rush in, Richard Montgomery gets shot in the face, and kind of sends everything to garbage. I don't want to use profanities. Sends everything to heck, and almost immediately after he gets shot, Benedict Arnold, who's really number 2 in the army, gets shot also. He gets carried out by his men. And somehow, and I'm not really sure how the chain of command that leads to the quartermaster general, but Colonel Donald Campbell assumed command of the Northern Army. Yeah, and none of us have ever heard of him. Now the first thing he does is retreat. He looks around, sees Montgomery's dead, Arnold's gone, things don't look good, and they retreat. And on his retreat, he actually runs into, I think in Montreal, might be the Tri-Rivers, he runs into a group of Continental congressmen who were sent up, including Benjamin Franklin, and I think Daniel Carroll, if I'm not mistaken, one of the Carroll brothers, and Samuel Chase had come up and were seeing things, and he's actually the one, Donald Campbell's the one who reports to these men what's going on, and you can read in their letters back. Doesn't look good. So the thing is, apparently, Campbell goes and is tried on a court-martial. Now, it was hard for me to determine if the court-martial was based on something he did wrong as quartermaster general. But I don't believe so, because I saw letters of him still trying to get reimbursed for what he spent years later. I do not have 100% definitive proof of this, but I'm 99% sure that he was tried for retreating, because several men who were on the scene claimed we could have still won the Battle of Quebec had we not been ordered to retreat. And Brigadier General John Sullivan brought the court-martial against Campbell, and Campbell lost. And then what's very weird about this is Horatio Gates sends a letter to Washington asking him to, should we uphold the court-martial or dismiss it? And Washington's like, I don't know, I can't play sides here, you did this, I'm not part of this court-martial. So it's interesting, there's a letter that he writes to, I'll put it in the link in the description. He writes it to John Hancock, who's sitting as president of the Continental Congress, and says, hey, hey Johnny, what do I do with this? I'm going to defer to you to make this decision. I don't think I'm appropriate. His exact words are, I'm at a loss as to why this was sent to me. um, so I'll put that link in the description. It's very interesting. So Donald Campbell, who suddenly was cast into the leading role of the American Revolution for a brief second, leaves, and then is very quickly court-martialed, and he's cashiered from the army, which cashiered means removed in army lingo. Um, and and that's it. He basically from there just petitions for his money back for the rest of the war, and then phased out of existence. It was very difficult for me to. I found pretty much nothing after 1779. Yeah, and I should also warn one warning. If you're looking into Donald Campbell, there was a Captain Donald Campbell who was fighting for the British, who was captured and then released, and he communicated with Washington based on an improper search of his goods when he was leaving New York. That is not the same person. That is a different person. One was British, one's American. So even though Campbell, his career kind of ended in dismay, we should keep in mind that he was in the moment, looked around, saw all these dead generals, and said, "We got to get out of here." So even though it seems to have been proven that that was a mistake and he should not have done that. You know, he was a founder who's trying to do the best for his men and his country, and we need to keep that in mind. So, I'm Jason. I'm going to get going. If you enjoyed this, you just happen upon this, hit like so more people can see it, and please subscribe so you can see more. Anything you want from me that I haven't done, put it in the comments, and I'm finishing just in time because someone's waking up.